Hi, this is Jennifer with Make My Heart Smile. Crochet along with me today to learn the moss stitch, M-O-S-S, the moss stitch. If you are a new viewer, welcome. Check out my other lessons and tutorials on my channel, because if you are a returning subscriber, you know that this is just part of a series of crochet lessons. So we have moved on to intermediate level stitches and skills, friends. So let's get started. Instructions will always be in the description below, along with timestamps for your convenience. Today's lesson is all about the moss stitch, and it is a great stitch for making blankets, dishcloths, washcloths, or even a scarf, which is what I made a few years ago in a color pooling workshop that I went to, or sometimes called planned pooling. And planned pooling in crochet is generally considered an intermediate level skill. So the moss stitch is what I learned there, and it is what is used primarily in color pooling. And I just love it because it has this wonderful little, I think they look like hearts, little hearts, I think, going across. And this is an argyle pattern. Color pooling usually creates an argyle pattern, and that can be a lot of variations on that. It's a lot of different colors. And although this is considered an intermediate level, it is accessible to beginners. If you work with special variegated yarn where the colors are pretty standard and pretty even in the color change as the yarn goes along, then you can make beautiful things like this with the argyle pattern. So the moss stitch is what is used primarily in this. And I thought if you ever wanted to do a color pooling project, then the moss stitch would be something you would need to know. So let's get started in learning the moss stitch. Okay, as you know, I'm using my loops and threads, tube-like yarn, and I am using the color tangerine today. And my usual materials, as you know, I am a big advocate for using stitch markers and so on and so forth. So get your hook, get your yarn, and today I will be using a stitch marker. Now, the moss stitch needs an even number of chains to begin with on the foundation chain. So we are going to chain 16, and that doesn't seem like a lot. We're just learning the stitch today. So just for the sake of time, and so our sample isn't too large, I'm going to chain 16. So slip knot onto your hook, and we're going to chain 16. 1, 2, 3, 12. It's really important that your number of chains to start with is an even number. Okay, because now we're going to work in rows, and I know in my last tutorials we've been doing a lot of things in the round, so we're going to go back to working rows. So that's a little change, and so we're going to be going back across, and we're going to actually put our first single crochet for this foundation row into the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4 right here, and we're going to make a single crochet. Okay, and now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip the next chain, and we're going to put a single crochet into the next. Okay, so it leaves some space right there. Chain 1, skip the next, and insert your hook into the next chain. After that, single crochet. Chain 1, skip the next, and insert your hook into that next chain, single crochet, and chain 1. I bet you see the pattern. Chain 1, skip, single crochet into the next chain, and I'm just working in the back loop, technically, of our V's going across our foundation chain. And this is the foundation row. Okay, it should be looking something like that. Here we go. So I've made my single crochet, chain 1, skip the next, and insert your hook to make a single crochet in the next, all the way back across this row. So chain 1, skip, and then you should see your last single crochet or your last chain right there. This is our slip knot right there, so right here. So skipping and then right here to make your last single crochet, and then you can just kind of cinch that slip knot a little bit. Okay, so that is our foundation row for the moss stitch. Now the next row we do, row 2, is the pattern repeat row. It's the row that you're going to do over and over again to whatever the length is or width of your project. Okay, so it starts with a chain 2. 1, 2, and turn. Because now we're going to go back across. Now, this is where those spaces that we created are going to come in handy. So for the moss stitch on our pattern repeat row, row 2, it's a chain 2, and then it's a single crochet, not here, but right here, into the chain space. Single crochet. Then we're going to chain 1, as we did before. Skip this right here, which would be your next V. We're going to skip that, and we're going to do a single crochet into the chain space. Chain 1. Skip this, single crochet into the next space. Chain 1. Skip, single crochet into the next chain space. Chain 1. Skip, single crochet into the next space. Chain 1. Skip, and into the next chain space. Now you might think that's your last chain space, but no. Chain 1, and right here, that chain right here, that from our original chain, foundation chain, there's a space right there, and we need to put a single crochet into that to end this row. And your sides will be much straighter for it. Okay, so that's the pattern repeat row, but we're going to do a few more rows so I can show you kind of the rhythm of it. So chain 2, turn your work. So now you should see where your new spaces are, and you should also see some little hearts forming. I call them hearts, or like a V on the side. So we don't want to put our hook into this right here. When you chain 2 to start a new row, you want your first stitch single crochet to go right there. Chain 1, skip, and insert your hook into the next. Just make a single crochet. Chain 1, skip, single crochet into the chain space. Chain 1, skip, into the chain space, single crochet. So it's really single crochet, chain 1, skip, single crochet, chain 1, skip, single crochet, chain 1. Oh, now this is a tricky bit, and I really should have shown you my stitch marker, but right here might look like this is where it goes in, but no, right here, see how there's a heart here or a V? You want this to be a heart too. So you need to kind of scoot that over and look for that chain from where we chained and turned and started a new row. Okay, right there. It's tricky, friends. See, I almost went down to the row below, but no, it's right there. So you should see a little V there. See, little V here, little V here. And you might think it goes in there, but no. Scoot that over and insert your hook right here for your last single crochet. Let's do another row. Chain 2. This time, this handy dandy stitch marker will be helpful. So if we look back, this is where we started the row, right? We're about to flip our work, right? And go back the other way. To know where that last single crochet goes, it might be a good idea to use your stitch marker so you don't have to guess when you get there. So right here, I'm going to put my stitch marker in there, right there. And that is the V, and then my chain, and the space in between is where I want to put that last one, so that when I get down there, I don't have to think about it so much. So we have chain 2, turn our work, and let's do another row, just so you can kind of see where the pattern is forming. Okay, so it's a single crochet to start in this space right here. Oops, I accidentally yarned over. Oh, whoops. Single crochet and a chain 1, skip into the space, single crochet, chain 1, skip, single crochet into the chain space, chain 1, skip, single crochet into the chain space, chain 1, skip, single crochet into the chain space. And that's really the repeating pattern. Love the moss stitch. You're really just using a single crochet and a chain in a repeating pattern down the row. And there's my last one. Gonna go where my stitch marker is. Single crochet to end that row. And I would chain 2 and go back and forth. And so now, just wanted to kind of show you this pattern beginning to emerge, or this texture really, of these little, I think they look like hearts coming down, and they're really diagonal. You see them? So cute. And this texture, it just lays really nice and flat. Usually really great for washcloths or dishcloths that you want a little bit of space in between the stitches. And it's really fun to do with different color yarn. Variegated yarn is fun. And again, that special type of variegated yarn is great for color pooling and plan pooling projects. So I really hope you enjoyed the moss stitch, learning the moss stitch. If you liked this, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to follow along for more, because I will be teaching some more intermediate level crochet stitches and skills. So leave a comment if you have any questions, and happy crocheting. See you next time.